that. All right, so we finished the first part of the question, which is this one. Let's look at the next example. So this other example, like I told you on the circle, that it's not always that they'll give you a question which is in the format that you know. So as you can see, this question doesn't even look like this here. So meaning it's your job now to convert it from this form to this form, so that at least you'll be able to find the values of A, B, and C, and also to find the vertices, the focus, and the eccentricity, and also to make it easy for you to sketch the geometry. Okay, so let's begin to convert it to this form. So we have 6x squared plus 3y squared is equal to 54. So the first thing that you need to understand, or the first thing that you need to know, is that this part here is always supposed to be 1. I mentioned this in the previous video, that this part is always supposed to be 1. So how do you make this 1? I'm going to divide the whole equation by 54. So when I divide this by 54, divide that by 54, divide that by 54. So the equation is therefore going to be, we know that 6 into 6 there will give us what? 1. Can 6 go into 54? Yes. It's going to go there 9 times. So we expect to have 9 there. When we say plus, we have 3 into 3, we get 1. So we have y squared over 3 into 54. That is going to give us 18. Okay, so this is now going to be equal to 54 divided by 54. We have 1 there. So as you can see, we have attained one of the things that qualifies our equations, rather our equation to be the equation of the ellipse. So we have made sure that this one here is a 1. So the other thing that you need to check is the sign there. If it's a minus, you know it's the hyperbola. If there is a plus, like in this case, you know that it's an ellipse. Okay. So after doing this, after converting the given expression into this form, you now have to find the center, the value of A, B, and C. So when you check this expression, the center, since we don't have anything in brackets, we don't have anything like x minus 1, we don't have anything in this form. In the brackets, we only have x there, and then we also have y there. So you can easily just say x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0, meaning the center is 0, 0 for this one as well. Then after doing that, after finding the center, we can identify which one is our A. Remember what I told you? For the ellipse, A squared is always greater than B squared. And this means that the value of A squared is 18, because 18 is greater than 9. So our A squared is simply just equal to 18. And our B squared is therefore going to be equal to the remaining number there, which is 9. So B squared is going to be 9. So the value of A is going to be the square root of 18. So the square root of 18 is simply just going to give you 3 root 2. Yeah, so 3 root 2, that's the square root of 18. And then the square root of 9, which is B, is going to give you what? 3. Okay, so after finding this, you need to find the value of C. So to find the value of C, we know that C squared is given by A squared minus B squared. So C squared is equal to, A squared is 18, B squared is 9. So we say 18 minus 9, and then our C squared becomes 9, meaning the value of C is 3 when you find the square root of 9. So after finding this, we can now begin to sketch, because at least we have the data that we need for us to sketch. So we can sketch, and then after sketching, we can find the vertices and the focus. So first of all, we need to identify whether it's in the X or in the Y. Looking at this equation here, when you see the biggest number is under the Y coordinate, and this tells us to say the given geometry is going to be directed along the Y-axis. So it's going to be parallel to the Y-axis. So we are going to draw something like that. Then the center is 0, 0. So this is going to be our center. So sketching this, we're going to have, first of all, we can put the value of A. So the value of A will be 3 root 2. So we're going to write, we're going to have 1, 2, 3. So 3 root 2 can be approximated to be somewhere there. I'm going to put this there. Then we also have 1, 2, 3. Our 3 root 2 can be somewhere there. Then our B is 3. So B is 3. So we have 1, 2, 3. So I have 1, 2, 3. So this is supposed to be negative. So we can sketch this. Okay. And then after sketching, we can find the focus. So the focus, or before we find the focus, let's write the vertices. So the vertices are, so this one here, I'll call it V1. So V1 is 0, 3 root 2. Then M1 is going to be 3, 0. M2 is going to be negative 3, 0. Then we have our V2 there, which is going to be 0, negative 3 root 2. Then we also have to find the focus. So the focus, the first focus that we are going to find will be between the center and V1. Then to find that, we're going to add the value of C to the Y coordinate of the center. So the Y coordinate of the center is 0. So 0 plus 3, we're going to get 3. So the focus is going to be at point 0, 3. So the first focus, F1, will be there, and this will be 0, 3. F2, we subtract the value of C from the Y coordinate of the center. So we say 0 minus 3, that will give us negative 3. So negative 3 is there, which is where we find our F2. So our F2 will be 0, negative 3. And then the other thing that we need to find here is the eccentricity. So eccentricity is equal to C over A. So the value of C is 3 over, the value of A is 3 root 2. So this will give you 1 over the root of 2, which you can simplify further to root 2 over 2. Or if you want, you can leave it here, there's no problem. So after finding the eccentricity, we can find the length of the minor axis and the length of the major axis. So the length of the minor axis, or we start with a major, is equal to 2A. So 2 times A. So 2 times A, our A is 3 root 2. So we have 3 root 2, and this will give us 6 root 2. The length of the minor axis, which is the distance from that point to that point, is given by 2b. So 2b, the value of b is 3. So 2 times 3, we have 6. I think the question is done. Do we have any questions before we move on to the next question? Do we have any questions? All right, so let's quickly move on. So we have another similar question, though asked in a different way. Okay, so this is just a solution of the first equation that the first equation there. Okay, so we have this question here. This question is asking us to find the center, the vertices, and the foci of the ellipse. So now, how do you know? Sometimes they'll just give you this same equation there without telling you whether it's an ellipse, a circle. Because if you remember very well, yesterday, those that attended the meeting, we had a similar expression which was like this. If you remember, that's the point where I said you need to know how to complete the square of any given quadratic equation. Yeah, this is why you apply it. So imagine you've just been given this. You've just been given this, and you've not been told whether this is a circle or it's an ellipse or a hyperbola or parabola. How do you know that this is this geometry, or what I've been given is a circle, or what has been given is an ellipse? How do you identify that? So you need to complete the square of this equation. Then after completing the square, it's going to tell you that this, what you have is an ellipse or it's a circle. So after doing that, after completing the square, or after writing this equation into the standard equation, that's when you can now find the values of A, B, C, and also further sketch the given geometry. All right, so let's quickly do that. So completing the square of that, this is going to give us, we have 4x squared, and we have plus 9y squared minus 8x plus 36y plus 4 being equal to 0. So first thing, you need to pair the like terms. Yeah, so the x values, we put them together. The terms containing x, put them together. Then we also put the terms containing y together. Then we take the constant to the other side of the equal sign. So now after doing this, you can complete the square of these terms. So how do you do that? First of all, you factor out the coefficients of the terms having the squared. So if I factorize 4 from these two terms, I'm going to have 4 open brackets, x squared minus 2x. If I factorize 9 from these two terms, I'm going to have y squared there plus 4y is equal to 4. So immediately after doing this, we can complete the square of that part. So first of all, when you're completing the square, what you need to do is to find the half of that term there, also half of that. So finding the half of this will give us, so we have x squared there. Let me change the brackets. So we have x squared there. Then half of -2 will give me -1. So I'm going to square this. Then I'll subtract the same thing there. Then write minus 2x there. I'll do the same in the next set of brackets. So I'm going to say plus 9, then plus 9, and then you are going to have y squared there. I'll also change the brackets. Y squared, you have y squared there. Then we say plus half of 4 will give us 2. So I'm going to square this 2. Then I'll say minus the same 2 squared. Then plus 4y, close the brackets. Then this will be equal to 4. So let's finish completing the square there. So we have 4, then open brackets. So x and -1 can be put together and then squared. So once you do this, it means that you've added this -2x in the brackets there. So you can just write the remaining part. We say minus -1 squared will give us 1. Then you say we do the same in the next set of brackets, open brackets. Then you have y squared. Then we're going to have y and positive 2 put in brackets. Then we've also put this in these brackets. Hence, we just write the remaining part there, which is minus 2 squared to give us 4. Then we say this is equal to what? 4. So after doing that, we can open the brackets. So 4 times everything in brackets there will give us 4. X minus 1 squared. 4 times negative 1 will get negative 4. Then 9 times this part there will get plus 9, open brackets, y plus 2. Then 9 times negative 4 there will give us negative 36. And this will be equal to 4. So we can pair the like terms. So when you get this negative 4, add it to negative 36, that will give you negative 40. So we'll have x minus 1 squared plus 9. There's supposed to be 4 there. Plus 9x, oh sorry, this is y. Plus 2 squared. Then negative 4 and negative 36 will give us negative 4 and negative 36 will give us negative 40. Then this will be equal to 4. So, sorry, I think I've remembered something. When you take this positive 4 to the other side of the equal sign to become negative 4. Okay. So this is supposed to be negative 4. So when you take this negative 40 to the other side, you have 4 open brackets x minus 1 plus 9 y plus 2. Then we say this is equal to negative 4 plus 40. So when you add negative 4 and 40, you have something like this. You have positive 36 this side. Okay. So now, since you have this, we have to make sure that this side on the right, we have 1. So how do you do that? You divide the whole equation by 36. So when you divide 36 into this equation, you're going to have 4 over 36, open brackets, x minus 1 squared. Then you have plus 9 over 36, open brackets, y plus 2. Then is equal to 36 over 36. So simplifying this further, 4 into 4 is 1. 4 into 36, this will give you 9. So you have x minus 1 squared over 9. Then plus 9 into 9 is 1. 9 into 36, you have 4. You have plus y plus 2 there. Over, for this being equal to 36 over 36, we have 1. So this is our general equation that we are looking for. So after doing this, let me just erase this part and then I write it properly so that we can start sketching. Okay. So you have x minus 1 squared over 9, then plus y plus 2 squared over 4 is equal to 1. Okay. So let us do the sketching. And also find the x, y, rather also find the vertices and the focus of the given geometry. All right, so sketching this, first thing first, we find the center. So to find the center, you equate what is in the brackets to 0. So when you equate x minus 1 to 0, you get the value of x as 1. When you equate y plus 2 to 0, you get the value of y to be negative 2, meaning the center is 1 comma negative 2. Then after finding the center, the next thing that you need to find is the value of a, b, and c. So remember what I told you, the value of a is always, for an ellipse, the value of a squared is always greater than the value of b squared. So in this case, the biggest number is the one that we're getting as a. So the biggest number is 9. So 9 here is the one that we're getting as our a squared. So meaning the value of a is the square root of 9, which is 3. Then you have b squared being equal to, the denominator there is 4. So the value of b is 2. So when you look at this equation here, okay, let's find c in advance before I talk about that. So c squared is given by a squared minus b squared. So these things are simple. So the value of c squared is equal to a squared is 9 minus 4 squared, rather b squared is 4. So sorry for that. So the value of c is therefore equal to, let me say c squared is therefore equal to 9 minus 4, which is 5. So c is equal to the root of 5. So after finding c, the next thing that you need to find is, are the vertices. Yeah, so like I said, if you don't want to be facing challenges to finding the vertices, you can first do the sketch and then you locate your vertices. All right, so sketching this, because sketching will only require you to find, sketching will only require you to find the values of a, b, and c. So when you look at this given equation, the equation that we just found, the value of a is under x, because a is the biggest number. So the value of a is under x, it's under the x coordinate. Hence, we know that this ellipse is parallel to the x-axis. So this is what we're going to have. This is how it's going to look. So we move a steps from the center, or before we do that, this time around the center is not 0, 0. So we have to locate the center. So the center is 1, negative 2. So this is our 0. So 1 is there. Then negative 2, 1, 2, negative 2 there. So this is our center. Our center C. So after finding the center, we can move a steps to the right and a steps to the left. So we're going to move 3 steps to the right because we know that it's directed along the x-axis. So we move 3 steps to the right from the center. We have 1, 2, 3 steps. So we have, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 there. So we have this point. Then we move 3 steps to the left. We have 1, 2, 3. And this is the other point, the other vertex. Then apart from that, we move B steps going up and B steps going down. So we have 2 steps going up. So we have 1, 2. So we have 1 of them is there. Then the other step we have to move is going down. So we have 1, 2, which is negative 4 there. So we can sketch this here. Okay, so this is how it's going to look. So this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so this is our ellipse. So after sketching, we can locate our vertices. So I'll get this as my V1. So V1 will be, remember, we are in the X this time around, meaning the value of Y is we are in the X this time around, meaning the value of Y is going to be constant. So the value of X at V1 is 4, then comma, Y is going to be what? It's going to be constant, the same one which we have at the center there, which is -2. So the center is 1, comma, -2. Then V2 is -2, comma, -2. Then in this, in the minor axis, the value of X that will not be changing. So we have 1, comma, this is -4. Here we have, so this is our M1, M2. We have 1, comma, 1, comma 0, sorry. Is it 1, comma 0? So here we have the X is not changing. Yeah, 1, comma 0. Okay. Okay, so after finding this, we can now find the focus. So finding the focus, this time around, we're going to be adding and subtracting to and from the X coordinate, because the ellipse is directed, or it's along the X axis, it's parallel to the X axis. So we add and subtract from the X. So this is how we're going to do it. So we have 1 there, and the value of C that we have found is the root of 5. So we're going to say 1 plus the root of 5 will give us a first focus there to be first focus. So I'll just approximate it to be there. So this, the coordinate of F1 is going to be, so 1 plus the root of 5, then comma, -2. Then F2, I'll approximate it to be there, which will be 1 minus the root of 5, comma, -2. These are the foci. Then apart from that, what else have we been asked to find? So we've managed to find everything. So if the question was asking us to discuss, you can also find the length of the minor and the major axis. So the length of the major axis is given by 2a. The length of the minor axis is given by 2b. And the values of a, we know them is 3, and the value of a and b are 3 and 2 respectively. Okay, so this gives you 6. This one will give you 4. Okay, and then the eccentricity, you also find it's C over A. So the value of C is the root of 5 over A is 3. So we have finished describing the geometry. All right, so let's quickly move on to the last example for tonight. So the most important thing that you need to know is how to move this equation, because they will never, it's rare for you to find a question which is like these two which I gave you here. Mostly they will give you a question which looks like this one here, so that they test if you know how to complete the square of this equation. Yeah, so you have to know how to complete the square of this, or how to come up with the general formula. All right, let's quickly move on to the last part of tonight's question. Oh, we have 2 more examples. Okay. So, okay, so I think, let me do this. From what I have taught, should I give this as the exercise? Should I give this as the exercise, or maybe we do it together. Should we do it together or I give it as an exercise? So these are very simple questions. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to send this question and the last part of the question as an exercise. So make sure that you submit tomorrow before we have the chemistry lesson. And so tomorrow we're going to do chemistry. I wanted us to do away with the ellipse and the circle before we start chemistry. So tomorrow we'll begin chemistry. So make sure that you submit these 2 questions before before the chemistry lesson around 21 tomorrow. Okay, so these are very simple questions. That's why I've decided to give them to you as the exercise. I'll put them together and send the document in the group so that you can test yourself if you have understood or not. So once you solve the exercise, make sure that you send it to me on WhatsApp for confirmation whether you are correct or wrong. Yeah, so do you have any questions in the last 3 minutes so that see how I can help you? Do you have any questions from what we have discussed tonight? If you have any question or if you have a question, you can just unmute yourself, ask, and then I'll explain.
I think I still have a problem on the focus. Yeah, I'm failing to understand that part. That's the only part, right?
The focus, okay. Remember what I said? Okay. So remember what I said. The focus is if you have the the ellipse like that. You have V1 there, V2 there. You have the center C. So the focus is just the center, the distance from, okay, let me say C is what describes the distance from the center to the focus. So if the focus is there, we have this small letter C. So if you want to find this point here, you simply just have to add the value of C here that you have found to the coordinates of the center. That's how you find the focus. If you want to find the focus that is before C, you subtract the value of C from the coordinate of the center. Is it clear? Or maybe I should explain further. Is what I've explained clear? So
Yes, it's clear.
yes, so if it's in the Y, you do the same. You just add and subtract from the center. You just add and subtract C from the center. Then there was also another question. Someone said, I repeat the last part. Which part exactly? Or finding the focus. I'm sure you're the same person. All right. Okay. So I'm going to put the questions together. I'll also add 2 more questions there just to test if you have understood what we have learned. So if I see that most of you get the questions wrong, I'll organize another class where we'll just be solving questions for, under the same coordinate geometry, but our main focus will just be on the second, the ellipse. Yeah, so it will be like a tutorial. We'll have a tutorial to just perfect what we have learned. And that will be determined by whether you have understood or not what I've taught. Meaning I have to first check your exercise, which I'm going to give you. All right, I'm going to send the exercise right after this lesson. See you in the next lesson for chemistry tomorrow.